Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. We got a big episode for you, and we have a special guest, as you can see, if you are joining us live. And we're excited to introduce him in a second. But first, as always, we want you guys to know and remind you that we are sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour, and they are going to have their big Put Up or Shut Up event September 22nd, I believe, the day before the King of the New York event. So it's going to be a great event put on by Jesse Ray. And we have, hopefully I'm looking forward to all the teams that are coming in to compete for that. So what do you think, Alex?
Well, I can't wait for this one. I just wonder if he's going to have any over the summer. You know what I mean?
You mean people kind of?
No. Any fight cards? You know what I mean?
I think he is. I think we're going to get one more because I have some insight from a past.
That's nice.
From a past fighter who's trying to come back. So
every card was great. Even like the one when I was like, man, I don't know. When it was all the juniors.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yep. And I didn't know a single fighter. Well, I think I knew a couple, right?
But still,
and I'm like, who's really gonna? I don't know. I'll watch it because it's the VFT and it's always been amazing. It was one of my favorite cards.
Yep.
Speaking of guys who've been amazing on the Virtual Fight Tour, Romani, how you say?
Yes, congrats, my friend.
Congrats on your win.
His first, I think it was Muay Thai fight.
He had a Muay Thai fight.
Yeah.
This kid, he's young. I think he's got to be, what is he, 20? Right?
Yeah.
I think he should stay doing both as long as he can. I hope he doesn't do is I hope he doesn't go like, I'm going to full contact and then I'm going to point fight, because eventually then you're a house divided.
Mm-hmm.
You're never really great at the other. That's why it's always so hard. But I mean, granted, it was an amateur fight,
but still, man, he looked
the way
great.
His poise in there. You could definitely see like you could be great at this for a long time.
Yeah, it was really cool. So
I really
congrats to Romani. He's an insider. He listens to the show and an amazing sport karate champion. So keep up the good work, man.
And his Celtics swept the Nets too.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm excited as I'm just pumped because this is one of my favorite competitors of all time, Keith Weston. How are you doing, sir?
What?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And Alex. So I talk about Keith all the time.
You do
on the show.
You talk about Keith fairly often.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure if you've ever been able to like see him compete.
Not live, but I've seen video.
Yeah, and we'll get to that too, because I always, that's always the thing too. We joke about, Keith. It's like the person that's so hard to find, video of, and I'm sure maybe let's get into that right now, and then we'll go into your journey of just the strategy of asking everyone to remove your videos from YouTube back in the day.
Why?
I don't know. I just didn't like people watching me unless it was in person. It was just the thing I had. It was, I don't know. I'm a bit of a firm believer that, things can be transferred through camera. Absolutely. But, I believe that, the in-person concept, does a little bit more when you're there and you see it and you feel it. So I just had this thing.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I said, you're absolutely right. That's like, like watching an NBA game in person versus watching it on TV.
Right.
No comparison. Comparison.
Yeah.
You get my endorsement on being in the tournament way better. Come on, man. People want to see your stuff.
Yeah. So it was just kind of one of those things, like, especially too, like, somebody's like, oh, watch Keith Weston, and it's in an old video, and that's not even what I look like anymore.
What you look like anymore. Exactly. I get that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also too, it was a different time though. It was the I mean, sportmartialarts.com, it was just based on websites. It wasn't really YouTube back then. It was all new, and it was kind of like, like, where is this really going to go, And a part two, that element of when we were growing up, we wouldn't really put everything out. We wanted to wait until the turn. Don't let anyone see what we're doing. If we had a new form we were working, we were putting out there, the guys, the open forms guys, they didn't want anyone to see what move they were going to do. It was all like hidden, and that's a completely different mindset now with social media. Oh, I just made up a new move. I'm putting it out here and I'm going to get everyone a bunch of views.
But then once it did come out though, Jeff, all right, at the beginning of that year, whenever your first tournament of that year was, then it was like everybody look at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You just wanted to wait.
You're right.
I think your terms.
The months of like November and December were like, what's he doing? What's he doing? That's kind of what those months were. But it's not 2000 anymore. It's 2022.
That's right. Well, we'll find some stuff, right? He's going to put out some new things. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that. All right. So Keith, let us know more about your story, and where you're from currently and originally, and how'd you get started in martial arts?
Okay. So currently I do live in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. I was born, raised in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which is about 6 hours north from here. I moved out of Sudbury on my high school graduation night. Moved towards Vienna, Port Burwell in Canada. If there's any Canadians, they might know where that is. Tillsonburg area. It's right on Lake Erie. I was there for about 3 years where I did a little bit of my kickboxing learning. Then from there, I moved to Hamilton. From Hamilton to Burlington. From Burlington to Thorold, Ontario. From Thorold to St. Catharines.
Man, you didn't unpack much.
From St. Catharines to England, Manchester, England. Back to St. Catharines, then back to Manchester, England. and then back to St. Catharines. So I've moved around a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, all that moving shows why your walls are bare right now. What's the point of putting stuff on the walls? You're gonna move in 2 weeks.
I know. I can't decorate.
You're gonna move in 2.5 weeks.
He sounds like Travis right now.
If you're in here anywhere, it would all be bare. So it's pretty boring in this room.
It's all right. I do the same. I don't like unpacking. Just keep going and going. From traveling all the time, I would just always keep the suitcase right there, ready to go.
It's true.
Man. What's up, Silvio?
So what was martial arts like when you got going? So before, like when you got into the sport martial arts life, like what was that like for you? How did that really go about?
So as far as competing, I competed 2.5 weeks after I first started. I think I was 3.5 or 4 years old.
Okay.
And I actually, I competed at such a young, extremely young age. So I was competing my whole life. But when I got into more of the more elite level competing, I think I was maybe 16 or something like that. And I got this random invitation to the Super Grands in Washington, D.C. Yeah. And I didn't even know that I qualified for this event. So I just said, sure, I'm going to go. I had no clue what it was. I was just the wild card.
For those that don't know, that means you go first. And everyone else has been seeded throughout the years for all their points are, tallied. And, so if you have won first place throughout the year at almost most of the events, you're probably going last. Keith comes in as a wild card, meaning, hey, I'd like to compete with you guys.
And I've never seen any of these guys, never heard of it. And I was first up. I didn't even know the rules. So I went over the 3-minute time limit, I think by 45 seconds.
So significantly.
Yeah, it wasn't by a second or two. And then it ended, unfortunately, my scores, they did score me the highest, but with such a time gap, right. I didn't even place, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember sitting in I've actually never talked out loud about this. I remember sitting backstage. This is when the Super Grands are really big. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, we're talking, there's thousands watching, you know, and you're like, can't even get a seat type of atmosphere, right? And I remember sitting against the back wall and just looking at everything on stage. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't expect this. And I remember next year I'll be up there. And I was.
And you were,
yeah. So that's kind of the whole intro to more of the elite type of competition. Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, just a little bit of things, just before we dig more into the NBL. Sure. Who was your instructor? And didn't eventually some of those guys from your school start coming with you as well?
So when you say my instructor, like right from the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the very beginning, I had an instructor. His name was Randy Danick.
Okay.
His school closed down due to some things that he was doing that was very, very wrong.
Okay.
And then I went to who his instructor was. His name is Don Benoit.
Okay, and that's how I know.
Yes.
Like, as far as where that starts, because he started competing as well.
Yes. Yes. So then we kind of did it together at the very beginning. Him and I would travel all over the place and, share the rooms and all that. It was kind of fun. But awesome. So I trained with Don Benoit for a long time. And then, like I say, when I moved out at 18, almost 19, I moved to the Port Burwell, which is where I met my kickboxing instructor, Bruce Shaver from Martial Arts Canada. So I trained under him for about 3-4 years, and that's where the fighting really progressed for me. Awesome. And then after that, I ended up meeting my current teacher. He's originally from Tibet. He lives in Manchester, England now. He's maybe about close to 108, maybe a little over 108 years old.
Wow.
And so he was born in Tibet, and when the whole revolution thing happened, he migrated or immigrated to Manchester, England. So that's right.
Time out.
That's crazy, right?
How old?
Hell,
yeah, he's close or even a little over 108 years old. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you
doesn't have a lot of Taco Bell in his diet. I'll tell you that.
He is no Taco Bell.
No Taco Bell. Yeah. So you definitely have a great inspiration and mentor for fitness and health and everything. I'm sure.
Hey, I'm gonna tell stories about this conversation.
I know, 108. I didn't realize that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I was living there. I was that's the reason why I moved to Manchester, and he's still there. So
okay. That's great. That's cool. So as you got into, 97 Super Grands was in Colorado Springs. Did you follow the circuit that year, or did you just go again as a wild card?
Okay. So that was the first year that I followed the circuit, like you just said. Mm-hmm. And I went to Vancouver. I think it was my first event after the Washington Super Grands.
Yes.
I went to Vancouver, and I remember, I don't know if you remember the name BJ Gallagher and Adrian Ulanoff, and all those guys were there. And at the time, it was like a big deal, right? Because you see them on the magazines and stuff like that. And I had to go up against them and everything like that. So it was a very good experience.
Right, and you were still. This is what you technically would have been your last year as a junior, right? I believe.
So 16, 17. Yeah, either last or second last. Yeah.
Right.
I think it was last. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then sorry, I was the magazine nerd. I read every story, all that stuff. So because at the time I was I know, because I was competing in NASCA mostly, and then started doing NBL in '98, and that was the first time I met you and saw you. And I'll share that experience in a second. But what's funny is Andrew said, something that, because your first experience was being, overtime, right? So that was something there where you kind of had to, he got pretty much DQ'd. I think the rule was a certain amount of deduction based on every like 5 or 10 seconds over.
Yeah.
So he had, if it's 45 seconds over, that's a lot. So,
yeah.
So what might have been more than that.
Yeah.
But Andrew was saying you started doing the introduction outside the ring, so the time doesn't start. And
Right.
a lot of people started that, and that was that trend, that you started. There's many different things, and you evolved over time. But I remember when I saw you first was the 1998 Junior Internationals, and you were going against Casey Nash, Casey Marks then, and at that time, in 98, she was the queen. She was amazing, great competitor. But when I saw you, I was like, whoa, this is something different. And she even felt like that too. She's like, whoa, what in the world? And it was the power, it was the intensity. And even back then, which you stopped doing, but back then you walked into the ring very slow, like very like deliberate. And it made everyone like, whoa, what's going to happen? I can't wait to see what's going on. And then the breathing was something that was different compared to what I had seen in traditional at the time. In traditional in NASCA, it was a lot of just yelling, deep stances, things like that. But this was when I really got to see the true power and the essence of what karate should have been. And it was like, this guy's only 18. Like, this is nuts, So explain that, just where does that come from? I'm sure some from your instructor, but also like, what's your mentality as far as what you want to present when you do forms?
So is that the question, or are you asking how do I develop power?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
To how do you develop power?
All of the above.
Yeah,
all of it, or what's my mindset?
I want to hear the mindset first. Let's hear the mindset, and then we'll go into the power thing.
Okay. Yeah. So you're really digging in here, eh?
Yeah, man.
So whenever I've done kata, I've actually, how do I explain this? Whenever I've done kata and competed with kata, it was something that I've had from a very young age, that I did it in order to create a change inside the viewer.
I love that.
Right. And a lot of times, and it's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying a lot of times people do it for themselves. Right. But the greater power in things, and I learned it through kata, and it's now in life, that the greatest power comes from doing for others. Right. So when you can tap into doing things for others, then real power comes in.
Love it.
Right.
That's so cool.
Continue
yes,
on
I know.
You got
this
me
is great.
in.
Yeah, I don't want to get too weird tonight.
It's okay. We love it. I warned him. I was like, dude, this is going to be great. Like, there's so much, So I'm excited to listen.
There's been episodes when I'm back here like this.
Yeah,
I'm right here.
Okay, good.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those things that, if somebody in the audience that's watching, right, comes up to me, or doesn't even come up to me, and sometimes when people do kata, especially traditional, they get this, oh, that was awesome, oh, I was fired up watching. The ones that struck me the most when they came up to me is when they had tears.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it hits something inside them.
Right.
Right. It's like a connection. Right. So it's oh man, how do I say this? It's kind of like marriage. So you got two people, and same with kata, you've got the kata and the person. Right. So once you get properly married, they merge together. Right. The people merge together. If you train kata enough and you train it properly with the right intentions, you truly merge with the kata.
Yeah.
And then when you merge with the kata, that brings about that kata's essence. And when the essence is revealed, people feel that and people see that from a different concept as opposed to, oh man, that was fast, that was crisp, right? That's
like that connects.
That's very different. Yeah, that's very
well.
Very
And Keith,
wait.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to go ahead, Keith. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I love your explanation. Yeah. Right? Like a true marriage is like being one between the person and the kata. Right. Which one gets in trouble for not taking out the garbage? That happened to me tonight.
I knew you had to throw something in there. That was great. But Keith, what I was going to say was, and when you see that happen, that's when, from the outside or for the people watching, like those forms could, like, it just becomes one with it. Like there's certain forms. When I think of that form, I think of a person doing that form, and it's like I don't want to see anyone else do it, but that person. You know what I mean? And it connects. And there's certain forms that, like, when you do, and people are like, that looked like that form was made for you. You know what I mean? And it's not. But the key is to not make it to where you do that only with one form.
That's right.
And that's where I think a lot of people had that with that one form. And instead of really learning how to do that with all of them, I know for me, I'm currently on that journey, saying that with my Taekwondo, my ITF forms, trying to really dive in to make them all my own, and connect with them. So I definitely understand that big time.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I believe if I could just maybe extend that 30 more seconds longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like each kata is like flavors of ice cream, right? So like if you do, let's call it an X kata, the flavor that it's supposed to exude into you and you also put out is going to be a different flavor than the next kata, so to speak, right?
Right.
So a lot of times people, they go into the ice cream shop and they taste the vanilla ice cream, or they taste the chocolate vanilla ice cream, or they taste this and this and this and this, and they go, that's good. But the trick is to be able to know what the ingredients are and know how to make it yourself.
Great.
Right?
Love
kata is very much the same. You first have to understand the flavor of the kata you're training, right? Okay. And then you start to dive in as to, well, what are the actual ingredients to make this flavor? I might be sounding like a real whack like that right now.
No.
I love it.
Follow you.
So yeah,
I'm not as deep as you are, though.
But yeah, so the element of molding and changing into the kata that you've announced is very, very difficult to do, right? And believe it or not, the actual time that you change into that kata is when you announce it, right? Because in the traditional Okinawan dojos, you say the name of the kata.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like at the end of the day, who's ever doing it doesn't really care what kata you're doing, but that's the moment for you as the person that you now become.
Correct.
And you transform. You're like a transformer. You become that machine, right?
Right. I mean, it's just like anything, like saying affirmations or things like that. That is what you are actually doing right then, So that's Absolutely. What you want to become. So I love that. I love that explanation. We already blew up Alex's head. Look at him.
Oh, this is deep.
I know. I love it. Oh man.
I mean, but hey, I'm in it. Yeah, like what Kayla's saying, you are kata. Yeah. No, I can dig that. But I'm guilty of a lot of these things that you were saying, though, Jeff. Like, I'm 100% guilty of being like, no, I'm going to be the best at this Korean form. That was my style. All right.
Right.
I'm going to be the best at this.
Right.
I let guys like Anthony Murata. This is my time when I was doing those. I let him do all of them. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to do this one.
Right? Yeah. Just stick to one. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. Because I can't beat you anyway, Anthony. I'm just going to stick to this. See if I can master this one. But I think with what you're explaining, Keith, that the end result of the placement is secondary. It doesn't matter so much as the journey and then the byproduct of being really good at that journey of succeeding in life in that journey, the byproduct is the reward in competition. Am I gathering that correctly?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like that just ends up happening by happenstance.
Yeah, it's the byproduct. It's the same as the fitness world, right? If you eat the right things, the byproduct is you start to look better.
Well, that's a good transition point. Tell us a little bit about that, because you seem to be, I don't know, running at about 2.5% body fat. So
8.
Oh wow, 8. All right.
Ain't no way, 8% body fat.
Wow.
Well, anyway, man. So like you got a whole like program, right? And what is it? What is it called again? Because I don't want to butcher it because it's certainly not mine. What is this system that you have?
Okay, so what it is exactly is I help specifically men over 40. Okay, and if I have to give specific numbers, so I help men over 40 burn belly fat up to 18 pounds in 8 weeks.
Brilliant.
With no fad diets and quick, short, hard-hitting workouts, no more than 25 minutes.
We're going to talk after this. I tell you what.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah. When I get somebody on my program, I have a full interview with them. So I go over their current age, their body weight, their activity level, their actual goals. And what I do is I design specific meal plans for that person. So it's not a generic meal plan that's printed out to the 2,000 guys that I've done this for. I hear it, I listen, I type in everything, get their macronutrients, which is their protein, their carbs, their fats, et cetera, and I match it to what their goal is. So if it's for lean muscle, sure, but I'm really focusing in on nowadays on the belly fats, because that's usually where it happens. Mm-hmm. So they jump in on the program. I write that out. I write a specific workout program for them, and I have a 3-tier accountability system, right? So basically, I'm a trainer in their back pocket for the full duration of the program, 24/7.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome,
absolutely.
Man.
Thank you.
That's amazing. And now,
okay.
So
how did you stumble? How did you get into this?
Yeah. Explain that.
Okay, so I closed my karate school.
Because you had a karate school.
So I did.
Skip that part.
Yeah.
No, we have to get back to some of that, but yeah, this is a good.
I closed it 15 years ago because I had a hard time intertwining business and martial arts. So, and this is 100% my feeling. This is not a dig to anybody that runs a martial arts school, but I felt that I couldn't properly teach martial arts when it was a business, because I am now the person that is, why isn't my kid getting their yellow stripe yet since Johnny got theirs last week? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? And then your first thought is, well, shit, man, I got to keep this customer, so I better promote little Johnny or little Alex or something like that, because I don't want them to be upset. I want them to know that I, stay as a student. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people, it wasn't, I believe there's a certain type of relationship that a teacher and a student has, right? And if the teacher's decisions are based on money, then the student isn't going to get the full feeling and value of being a martial artist.
It's a very delicate line.
Yes.
To walk.
Yes, it is.
And sometimes you have to walk in the muddy waters.
Absolutely.
And you don't feel good about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that doesn't mean that, martial arts school owners, you guys are them, right? You guys are handing out amazing value every single day. So my struggle was more internal with me. Right. So,
yeah.
And I mean, like they say, it's, if we could convince the whole world to put their kids in martial arts, or even adults in the martial arts, let's figure it out. Right. So I'm a firm believer in it, but I ended up having to close it. Long story short, I ended up having to close it. Then, I saw an actual ad on Kijiji for a mobile personal trainer. So I filled it out, right? And
wait. What was
what was the name? Kijiji.
It was Kijiji.
What is that?
It's like a marketplace, but it's a lot older than marketplace.
All right.
Yeah, it might be Canadian. Yeah, it's buy and sell or post an ad, these types of things.
Kijiji.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Kijiji.
It must be a Canadian thing.
Yeah, I think it might be. So I ended up meeting this guy at the coffee shop, and it turns out he's a martial artist. His name's Robert Foster. He runs a little online, not online, but mobile personal training business. So he had the interview and everything like that, and blah blah blah. So he hired me, and I was driving from house to house teaching different clients. Mm-hmm. So I ended up being about to leave this client of mine's her front door, and she just said to me, she said, "Keith, how do you feel about running a boot camp?" And I said, no thanks.
Ha!
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh my God.
She had a group of 7 girls, and I said, no, okay, very much. And I remember tying my shoes, and I walked out to my car, and you guys all know, right? You know when something doesn't sit right inside?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I heard it inside, and I listened. And I actually was against what I was feeling, but I still went and turned around, knocked on her door, opened the door, and I said, her name's Dana. I said, Dana, yeah, I'll do it. She said, okay, great, awesome. I'll let the ladies know. So I showed
Holy
up.
Spirit was getting a hold of you.
Yeah. So I showed up at a park. There were 7 girls. I ran 2 classes or something like that. And they said, this is awesome. Let's do it for the summer. So I ran it for the rest of the summer. They all said, can you please keep it going? I said, sure, as long as you bring me one person. The next week, I had 40 people signed up. I was in a school gymnasium, and that was it from there on in. It just grew, and it was a female-only thing. I had my own facility, and then, COVID hit, and that was it. So I had my online business going even before that, which is a good thing because it was going quite well. And the transition into purely online as a fitness coach has worked really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
And God was like, sorry, Keith.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you're not done yet.
Yeah, you're not done. That's cool, man. And the thing is, it wasn't too far off from what you were in, you know what I mean? Like in martial arts, because it still had to do with fitness, and still, this is still your way of teaching people and helping people just in a different way. And then you can keep your martial arts not keep it for yourself, but like if you want to help, and I'm sure you probably coach some people still that, that's focused on either competition or, it's not where this is all you're doing, like before. So
I got a question along that. So when you started the group training sessions like that, and you started doing that with the class, when you realized I'm at 40 people, did you immediately have a teaching karate again, like flashback?
No, I didn't.
You didn't, because this was my follow-up question. Did it feel good to teach a large group like that, impact people, and not worry about who's going to be at what rank and who's going to test at this time? That's what I feel like after you articulating what kind of a struggle was, I guess I would have felt like, wow, this would have been like the perfect place for you to land with that.
Right. Yeah, no, nothing at all. It ended up turning
this was all together.
It ended up being all women, and all of them were usually about 40 plus. Okay. And there was no interested on their end, at least that I didn't sense, of learning martial arts. They wanted to burn some belly fat, shrink their bums, shrink their bellies, shrink their arms, these types of things. So, I just ran good hardcore fitness classes for them, and they loved it. And I had the facility for about 12 years.
That's so cool.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. Now, do you see yourself going back to that in any way soon, or?
No, I'm absolutely loving being an online fitness coach.
Okay.
I can make impact to more people all around the world. Right now, I have clients Mexico, England, Ireland, all over North America, and it's just a bigger platform that I can help more people. And at the end of the day, it sounds like, oh, well, you can help more people, but honestly and truly, I am helping them because fitness is a big thing. It's a really big thing in regards to your own self, right? There's been so many, not to go into details and stuff, but there's tests proven that when you feel better as an individual, other things around your life start to change, right? So your marriage changes, your own personal business change, your work life changes, because just something about you feels so good, right? So that makes me actually feel very satisfied. It's a very satisfied job that I have. There's much reward from it, much reward.
That's amazing.
That's
awesome.
When I used to see like the fitness classes, when I was like, okay, so when I was a meathead, right? Oh man, I was a meathead. I was like, oh yeah, jack plates, bro, jack plates, right? Yeah, I used to think the fitness classes for women were so dumb. Like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. Just get in here, lift with the rest of us. Nobody cares about you.
Yeah.
I look at it totally different now because now I see, like, it's so strange. Now, when I'm in the gym, I feel bad for women sometimes. I feel bad because the guy, you can just see they're all like, and it's just like they can't help themselves but Google over. It doesn't even matter who it is. And I'm like, gawking. And it doesn't even have it could be from 16 to 60. And it's like it doesn't even matter. Right. Yeah. So then I look totally different lenses, right? Different stage of life for me, right? Obviously. So then I look at it like, man, I get it now. I totally get it. I wouldn't want to be in here if I was them. I get it. So something like this, what you're talking about, like there's got to be insecurity going into the gym, right? There's got to be just going in there. You don't know what you're doing, right? You're already feeling insecure. You're out of shape. That's why you want to go in there to begin with, right? Or let's just say you're even really good and you're feeling great about your fitness and you go in there. Now you know people are going to Google over you, right? Yeah. So then it's like, I get it. Now I understand it.
Yeah. 98% of my clients, believe this or not, don't go to the gym.
I get it.
Yeah. It's just a home workout with dumbbells. And if they have a medicine ball or a kettlebell, Yeah. So I actually, this is true. I got a male client. He dropped 60 pounds in 8 months using water bottles.
Time out.
Yes, I love it.
A gallon of water?
Yeah, so he would take the jugs, right? You know, the handles on it.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And then I don't know what he did. He plugged them somehow. He dumped all the water out, right? So he said, I don't want to go buy dumbbells or whatever. I've invested into you, Keith. So I'm going to do this. I said, sure, great. So he would fill up the jugs, maybe that much the first month. And then I give him all the exercises to do with it. And then the next month, you unplug it, dump a bit more in. So the weight went up. So he has what we call in the fitness world is progressive overload, right? So if you're constantly using the same weight, there won't be a change. You're just going to feel good, but there won't be an actual change to the body. So you need to constantly be challenged the body, increase the weight, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what he did. So that was a pretty cool story, actually.
That's that's cool, man, because it's just using different, using things that, like you have already, just at your advantage. Yeah.
So what did he put in? Did he put like sand in there?
No, water.
Just water.
Oh, so he dumped water out, but then put a little bit of water in.
And then extended it month to month. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I like it.
I struggle with the in-home workouts. Hey, in March in 2020, when everybody was like, what the hell are we going to do now? Yeah, I went in, I got all the bands. And I immediately was like, I'm breaking into a gym, right? Because here's what I did. It's actually just right over here. I'm looking at the door right here. This little doorway. Y'all can't see it, but here's what happened. I'm sitting down and I'm doing rows, right? And I got it. I got the little thing, the little knob, right? Inside the doorway with the door shut. Jeff can already tell where this is going.
I can tell where this is going.
So the seam the seam on the little stitching breaks, pow, right in my face, right? The whole thing. And I'm like, screw this. I'm done. I don't want to do this. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, "Who's got a gym?"
So yeah, hey guys,
I'm
gonna just throw this out there, just for your viewers.
Yep.
If there's any viewers out there that are interested, I'm gonna throw out a 40% discount on my program.
What?
Yeah,
all right.
40% discount. Just send me a DM in Facebook and just say fat loss. All right.
All
and
right.
if you say fat loss, I know you heard this, and I'll hook you up at 40% off.
Awesome. 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 All right. So Keith, I want to go back into some things though, you know, in your NBL legacy and some things, you know, I know for me, people really most of the time think of you, you know, for your kata. Also though, I love your traditional weapons, your traditional bow forms.
Thank you.
Also, you were an amazing continuous fighter, point fighter, Korean forms. You know, most people know me for Korean forms now, and most people who I had lost to years ago when I first started as a team, like I was able to come back and beat. Keith's the only person I was never able to beat in Korean form. So it's pretty awesome. Just amazing competitor. Was able to use that. Like what you said, you explained in the beginning, you know, of just like making it all like yours, you know what I mean? And really getting into the form. So how did that all, just being an all around competitor, what was that like?
Being the like going in all those different divisions.
Yeah, divisions. Yeah.
And how many what divisions are we talking about?
At one time, I thought I was doing a lot with 4. I think it was the traditional kata, traditional weapons, continuous, and point.
So today, if you were competing, you'd be doing 14.
No, just not.
Nah. There's so many more now.
Yeah, there is.
Like, all right, let's suppose I'll do musical, traditional.
He had probably at least 6 or something like that. He probably did because you did Korean later on. I think sometimes you did self-defense, you know, and you might have had something else. But yeah,
leave it to Jeff to fact.
Team fighting. Sorry, team fighting one year, which we're gonna get into that. But but yeah. So I mean, I know for me, like I've done a tournament where I did what was that? I told you 17. Oh, I did 22. Yeah, 22 performances in one day. And it was like 16 divisions or something like that. Yeah, it was nuts. So I know, it's crazy. But for you to be at a high level in all of those, you know, like to me, when people say Keith Weston, everyone says, and it's kind of like what I just explained, kata, but continuous fighting. I loved watching you do continuous. Explain that.
Which part? The continuous?
Just the continuous. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the continuous. I just had the issue between the reason why I stopped point fighting was just I just didn't like, you know, I got beat because he was falling and did this to me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, so I was like, you know, if I'm gonna do some sparring, well, let's mix it up a little bit, right? So I enjoyed the physical component behind it. Mm-hmm. It was I didn't really like the no 3-hand rule, all this sort of stuff, or a 3-punch rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I kind of used the fighting a little bit for kata.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
explain.
Sense.
Yeah, explain that.
Got me leaning in again, Keith.
So, with a lot of the kata training that I did and still do, I would say maybe 70% of my training was visualization. So I strengthened my visualization through doing visualization of fighting in the ring.
Okay.
Because it was more vivid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. It was more vivid. There's more things going on in the fighting ring, so to speak. So it created a stronger foundation mentally for my visualization of kata training. So I found, there's a quick 60-second story. I really got into the visualization, and I remember it was at the Niagara Falls Super Grands or something like that.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah. And both when I was fighting and doing kata, because of the amount of visualization I did, everything was literally, and when I say literally, I'm not exaggerating, was slow motion.
Okay.
Everything was slow motion. So all my competitors that were throwing things at me, it was like it was coming like that, like just so slow. And when I was doing my kata, it was as though I was so slow, but I was so precise internally with it.
Correct.
Right?
Wow. That's so cool.
So
it's like a kung fu movie we're listening to here, Alex.
Yeah, so it really changed something, and that was a changing time as well for moving into meditation.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing. All right, this is always the legendary story that people want to know about, and this is a fighting story, and it's because of someone that really we never got to see much fight, but maybe 2 years, and because he was from England, and he came over for the 98 Super Grands, and it was Matt Winsper. And it's kind of become like a legend, a legendary thing that he just comes in and he whoops up on, all the top fighters, Jason Borelli being one of them, Jason Tanks being one of them. And you guys as a team, if you look at this, it was Team Liker International. The team is Larry Tankson, who was probably 45, maybe close to 50 at that time. Yourself, who to their mind is just a forms guy, right? Really? And then, or continuous fighter. And then this guy from England, who's just crazy. And really at that time, I remember going to that Super Grands. That was my first Super Grands. And we had, Team Kanai, who had Jason, Raymond, and Ryan Huntley, and those guys on their team. You had the Bay Area's best, which is Carlos Tierney, Damon Gilbert, and Chris McBride, which is like crazy, just those all kind and more than that. Then you had great Mexican teams and the Guatemalan teams and
super athletes.
And then super. Then you had like the South teams that were like Brian Plimple and those, and just you guys end up beating everybody. So explain that feeling of what that was like.
You're making me go back into time.
I know.
It's kind of cool. It stirs up different things. I think I was third out of 4 guys, was it? I think it was something like that. And I had to fight Carlos Tierney.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I got to hear this one.
Specifically. And that guy is tall, man. He's like, I think he's 6'4", 6'5", or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's really tall. And I remember going into it, and we were in the lead. And to be fair, I don't remember how my fight ended up. I don't. I just remember we were still in the lead, but I don't know if he scored more points or I scored more points. I'd be lying if I said he did, or I'd be lying if I said I did.
Yeah.
So I remember we were in the lead, but then I think Jason tied it up against Matt Winsper, right?
Okay.
And I believe that's what it was. And then it came down to actual sudden death.
Yeah.
And we were I remember hearing the fans in the stands, and it was in the hotel that goes all the way up, right? You look up and everybody's in their
It was in the atrium, yeah.
So I remember it was just going crazy, and then
I feel like I'm there right now.
Yeah,
and then it was, dude. It was
Bob Liker just looking at Matt Winsper, and I think he just said, "You know what to do. You know what to do," like that. And then I remember Jason went with his lead sidekick, and Matt went over top and popped him, and it was no question he got the point, and it just erupted. It was such a cool feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely was a cool feeling.
So You beat a team with Jason Tankston,
Yeah.
who is one of the most talented martial artists the world
Absolutely.
has ever seen. Right? On a team with Larry Tankston.
Yeah.
Please tell me what it was like fighting with Larry Tankston. I got to hear what some of those conversations and interactions were like. I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Because Larry Tankston is one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah. He was a very calm guy.
Get out. What?
Yeah. I remember.
You got the wrong. No, we are not talking about the same Larry Tankston.
Yeah. 100%.
What?
100%.
He was a lot.
Yeah. He was. Maybe he's different now. I don't know. But whenever he was around me, he was very calm.
I don't know 3 people in the world more confident than Larry Tankston.
Yeah, he seemed pretty confident. Yeah,
but calm and confident. All right.
Okay, maybe.
All right.
Okay. I'll stand corrected on that. This is probably true. Yeah, he's not shaken by anything.
No, he never seemed like it.
No,
this is
never seemed like it. And I remember that was the most elated I've ever seen him when Matt hit that point. But it was kind of awkward at the same time. But
yeah,
because it was
still so happy. I think because him and Jason, I think they must have had a chat or something beforehand and just said, hey, we're just doing it. We're fighting against different people. Let's both give it our best, and whatever happens. Because they both got along great after the fight. They gave each other a nice big hug, and yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. And I'm not sure which one you might have meshed both of those teams actually together, because I think Jason was fighting with Raymond on Kenai and Carlos was on the Bay Area's team, but it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
But that happens. But I it's hard to find video of that. I have video, but not of that fight. I have video of like when Raymond scored 100 points in continuous or something like that. And
what?
Yeah, he scored 100 points on someone, I think, in continuous fighting, and the guy only scored like 10 points on him or something. It was some crazy things like that. But yeah, that was and this was 98. This is when Jason's first year as adult, Raymond's first year as adult, all these guys. So a really cool time. And your first year, you won, believe your Japanese division that year, right?
Yes.
And then it just kind of took on, a life of itself. You continue to evolve. Like if you watch, people were fortunate to watch you do go to Shiho back then, watching you do Super Impe in the 2000, 2004 kind of range, completely different. Right. Yeah. And that again, we're kind of explaining or giving examples of what you talked about earlier. So making it your own, not just, this is my style, this is the way I'm going to do all these forms. No, like each form is its own thing and how I do it. And so we really got to see that. It was really cool. And just over time, you become this historic, legendary figure. What does that feel like when people talk to you like that, or explain that to you?
I mean, what's that?
I said, well, it seems like maybe uncomfortable, but no.
Yeah, it kind of does, because I don't, and in all truthfulness, and you might think, well, that's what you're gonna say, but I don't really look at myself like that at all.
Right.
I don't. So when I hear it, I'm like, oh wow, really? Like that. And it's nice to hear it. I'd be lying to say otherwise. It's nice to hear it. But I think what's important to me is not the title of who I am. It's what impression did I leave inside somebody else, right?
Awesome.
Because there's a lot of people that can share the same. He's a legend. She's a legend. He's a legend. Mm-hmm. She's a legend. Yeah. Right. So, but why?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Why?
And I guess that would be the part that's important to me. Well, because he was good at kata. Okay, not good enough. There's a lot of people good at kata.
Right.
There's going to be a lot more.
So so it's again what's in here for them when they think of me. So if they think of me, what does that do inside?
Well, one of the things I like what you've said so much, Keith, is that you've mentioned how, well, we all know this, and we all say this, and even verbalize it, but I don't know that there's a lot of competitors that practice what you've said and have left as example, which is not just doing one kata or form, but that you're going to be great at all of them, or at least just do them all. So like when I look at a guy like who I really enjoyed watching for a very long time, which is John Su, right? He didn't do that many different katas, right? So, and while I wish I would have got a chance to watch more of your katas, put them back on YouTube, right?
We have to talk to Emily.
The world enjoy them, Keith.
I know.
Oh, but then it's Christmas.
How about that? That's a great segue inadvertently. Are you ever going to put any of your videos or let people put videos of you back on YouTube?
Well, I'm not done competing.
Stop.
Yeah, it was only the pandemic that stopped me, to be fair. But yeah, it's I've been offered a few team offers for NASCA, and I mean I'm kind of weighing them up a little bit. And
so how old are you right now?
I'm 42.
No, they say listen, obviously you're at 1.5% body fat. Notice how the more the show goes on,
it gets less and less.
Yeah, it gets less and less.
So
like you're shy on fitness level, so you're clearly ready to rock with it, and your mentality is right there. So yeah, I get that.
Thank you. I feel stronger. I feel stronger now than when I was 20. Yeah, I truly do. I truly feel stronger than when I was 20.
Yeah, I understand that completely because I'm in the same boat right now. I feel way better than I was when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. So definitely agree.
Okay. So what you're saying is that the Battle of Atlanta in June, you could potentially see yourself at.
Yeah. I've been.
All right. I'm going to tell you this right now.
Uh-oh.
Fantasy Sport Karate League.
Yeah,
he ends up at the Battle of Atlanta. I'm picking him up on my team.
No, I'm drafting.
No. I've already just done it. I called dibs.
Oh man, that's funny. So Keith, man, we've had a great time interviewing you. I know it's crazy, right? I mean, I think so many people had to pick up several different things. And I hope they apply that to their life and their training and everything. A couple things, just real quick. Are there some not necessarily rivalries? Because I don't think you did it to like it was more. I know you were competing with yourself, but some things that maybe challenge you, or some people that challenge you, some competitors you remember, just growing up and competing throughout.
I remember it's more of a story.
Okay.
The name Butch Togisala.
Yes.
Right. So this is a true story. I don't remember where it was. It might have been Hollywood, California Super Games.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out during the season or whatever. I ended up beating him on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he gave me a hug, he whispered in my ear. He says, "I'm coming after you, Keith Weston," like that. And I remember just going like, "Oh man, sorry." Like okay. So then at Hollywood, it was the Friday night, and I was standing there warming up, and suddenly the lights in the facility went black. Like shut off. And suddenly, everybody goes, "Oh," and they kind of go quiet a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard, "Where's Keith Weston? I want Keith Weston." And then the lights, went back up, and it was Butch.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and it was Butch, and I remember in that moment it was like, wow, like I didn't realize like there's like a lot of people that really want to get me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a neat story, and I mean he was always great at what he portrayed at the time, and you know, everybody that was there, I always admired, I looked up to, because you know being a competitor isn't easy. It actually is, and you guys know that it's not easy.
No.
Right? You know, it's competition isn't on a Friday, Saturday. You know, the competition starts long before the event, right? So it's anybody that I went against, I never underestimated them, nothing like that. But again, it always did come back to having to go inside.
Yeah.
Right. Having to go inside. Yeah, little things like that.
I love that. There's always great Butch Tokusala stories. There's always great Butch Tokusala stories. But yeah, give me one more.
Right. So it's not really a story. It's just kind of an offshoot of what you're saying about, you know, I did different katas and becoming them and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is maybe for people that are listening and that are training and things like that. So you can become extremely proficient, right, in doing one thing, right? And that's 100% true. But the beauty of kata is each kata, if you do it enough and you train it enough, and your heart is open to teachings, as hokey pokey as this might sound, there are teachings that suddenly get fed to you, and you don't know where they come from. It might not be understood, but the theory of the kata starts to teach you is actually very true. So you get a teaching from that kata that is not just about the kata, but about how to apply that kata into life. You start training different katas, and you get new teachers and new trainings that are actually given to you. But if you're open to it, right? You can't be closed-hearted. So if the heart is open, you expose yourself to all these different teachings. And for the amount of different katas that there are out there, if you can have an open heart to even 4 or 5 of them, it's like getting 4 or 5 of the most amazing teachers. So when we train, we really do need to train with an open heart. It's different than an open mind. It's an open heart. And only when that happens, you can truly receive something.
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Number one, that was fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. I wrote that out last night.
I don't think you could have.
I don't
think you could have. All right. And number two, man, I gotta tell you, that sounds exactly like I was joking around by saying it before. Dude, that sounds like you're talking about God's Holy Spirit right there. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not like I said it like jokingly earlier, but I'm not now. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So it really does, because I'm like, all right. I know a little bit about the Holy Spirit. Read a few books. One that's pretty important. I don't know. You might know it. It's called the Bible. I don't know. Right? So, and that's just what I'm putting out. Sometimes God will use an avenue that some find unlikely to get to a person. And that person that they're using to get to the person might not even know it.
Yep.
Right.
So,
man,
awesome. I have absolutely loved
this
time. This has been one of the best shows.
This has.
Jeff, if I'm lying, I'm not. I text Jeff in the middle of the show. I was like, this is one great show.
Yep. It is. It's awesome, man.
Fantastic.
This has been a joy, Keith, man. And I know everyone watching and listening are picking up things. I know for me, this is, just been, it's cool to do this show, to be able to do the show and like get to have my heroes on. And so I just want to tell you, you're amazing, not just competitor, but person. And thanks for sharing that. And we really appreciate it. And all of us at Inside Scoop are excited just to keep sharing this, guys. Make sure you listen to it and let everybody know this, because it's some great stuff. And contact Keith.
Thanks, guys.
Yo, and it's great to find the newest member of my fantasy sport karate team.
There you go.
I called dibs.
There you
I
go.
called dibs.
There you go. Oh man,
I already got it.
I know.
Thank
All of us are getting. All of us are getting nervous now. We're like, we gotta train. Awesome, man. Well, thanks. Thank you so much, man. You have a blessed evening. And Alex, take us out.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week. Thank you, Keith.
Ole Tolfa.